J948. Take a chance. Doesn't work though. You sure? Let's do it again. Okay.
저 카메라 꺼놔도 돼, 저는. 근데 선생님만 켜놓은 건데 다른 키고 싶어 시키는 거.
근데 왜 애들 다 키고 있어?
Okay, guys, I'm sorry. We'll just 2 more minutes to let everyone come, and then we'll get started. As I said, we won't finish late. This is going to be a really short. It's going to be a short class anyway. Just make sure that's right. Okay, where are we? Okay, maybe we should get started. I apologize about being late. I was on the phone, something related to my mother, and I just had to keep going. It's very hard to get in touch with her doctors, and I needed to talk, so I apologize. But as I said a minute ago, we won't be running late. I looked over your. I haven't graded all of them yet, but any of them yet. But I did look over your answers a little while before class, and they looked like you guys knew what you were doing. But let's just go over those worksheets from yesterday. But before we do, could everyone? Okay, here, let me just bring up the screen. We could just type hi into chat. Let's get started with that as usual. Your attendance. Also, could you also just let me know here in text, either say no Wi-Fi, no printer, so I have a sense of who is not able to print out sheets. So if you could type that in now as well, I'd appreciate it. When I look back. Okay, did everyone get a chance to either put in no printer, no ink? Or Wi-Fi or, okay, good. Okay, so could you guys all, could you silence yourselves, or I will, hold on. So again, I'm muting you, and please don't unmute yourself unless you want to ask a question, okay? Because it's disruptive for the rest of us. Thank you. Where did the chat go? Chat disappeared. Oh, okay. So here we go, sorry. So, here we go. So the first thing in this, right, this one was simply to just calculate the angle of impact. And as all of you seem to do, right, you have to, the big decision here was where do you decide where this ends? So let's take this one, for example. This is two, so right, first of all, it's moving from right to left. And really the initial impact is this drop here. So you could sort of cut it off right there. And so all of you got some combination of, for me, I got little d of 0.5, and I got, so this distance here, oops, sorry, 0.5, and I got big D of 1.1. So then when I just did the arcsine of that, I ended up with an angle of 27 degrees. And just we'll do the first two. And this one, I got a big D of 0.8, and I got 0.5 for this, and then I ended up with an angle of 39 degrees, right? Does anyone have any questions about this worksheet? Okay, good. Okay, so let's go move on to the next worksheet, which is this guy here. And this is more approaching what a forensic scientist would actually do in the field when you're actually confronted with a series of drops. How do you then convert that to figuring out the origin of impact, or the point of origin? That's the real key here, right? And it basically walks you through it. Would anyone, rather than me, would anyone like to walk us through what you did? I'd rather if someone else did, but I can do it certainly. Does anyone feel like it? You can just unmute yourself and say yes if you'd like to. Otherwise, I'll do it. No? Okay. Okay. So let's just do the first one. And then if there's any questions, you let me know. So the first thing it says is determine the direction to which the blood was traveling, right? And we know that the blood is traveling in that direction, and that direction, and in that direction. And then it says determine the lines of convergence. So what you were then to do is to just simply draw a line. And this is going to look really bad. This is not the right line, a straight line in each case, right? And like that. And then it said, draw a small circle around the intersection, right? And that would be right here, right? And then it said, measure the distance in millimeters from the area of convergence to the front edge. So you then were to measure this distance here, this distance here, and this distance here. Okay, and then use the scale of I use a scale of 1 millimeter equals 0.2 feet to calculate the actual distance. What I did is I did that at the end. We'll do that at the end. Okay, and then for each droplet, you then had to measure the angle of impact, right? And so you did the same thing we did in the other sheet. And let's see, what numbers did I get? For the first drop, I got 49 degrees-ish, 49 or less, wait, 38, sorry, 38 for this one. I got about 30 for this one, and I got about 42 for this one, right? Which is the next thing. And then using the techniques, and then the next thing is to use this triangle to figure out the actual point of origin. So how do you do that? Well, so we know all the angles here, right? So once we know the angles, so this angle here we know is 90 degrees, right? And this angle here, we know is, we do it one by one. So let's take the 42 degrees one. So this guy here is 42 degrees. And what I'm sorry, I can't draw with this thing. And then what we're looking for is H here, right? We're looking for this. So if you know all the angles, and you guys knew to plug in the tangent formula, and what you can do is if you do the tangent, basically the equation is that the tangent of this angle here will equal this height divided by this distance here. Again, the tangent of this angle will equal this height divided by this distance using your geometry. And then you come up with a height for all three of those. And the three heights that I came up with in millimeters were 9.8, 7.2, and 10.1. And then that's an average of 9.03 millimeters. And then I just converted that. You have to multiply by 0.2 to get 1.8 feet. Right. So that was the gist of it. And you had to do that for the other ones. Does anyone have any questions on any of that? Pretty straightforward. Does anyone have any reactions to it in terms of, does it seem reasonable? Does it seem plausible? Anything along those lines? Okay, so one of the reactions I simply had was, well, these numbers are very different, right? And what you see when you start doing this work is that a very small change. It's like when I let you all almost every one of us measured these slightly differently, and so any slight difference in measurement ends up giving you a very big difference in angle, and that's one of the reasons why there was so variability in terms of the number here. And why you had to average it. So it's something to keep in mind. This is not an exact science, and it's certainly prone to error. Okay. If we have no more questions, we're going to move on to that. Okay. So to clear this, Cece, are you raising your hand, or you want to ask something, or?
So I think for a lot of us on problems 2 and 3, when we drew the lines for the area of convergence, they didn't all intersect on the same point, and so the area of convergence wasn't. It was like an area, right, which is a valid thing, but we weren't sure how to do the measurements for the distance from the droplet to the area of convergence, like where that like edge is. That's
a good question. What I would do in that case is I would simply draw a circle around that and then do the center of wherever that circle is. That's what I was doing. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So the next assignment is this. So you've been called to a crime scene in an apartment building where the manager found bloodstains in several locations. No witnesses were found, and it is not known who the victim is or what the injuries might be. This is going to be a two-step process, but your goal here is can you recreate what happened to produce these bloodstain patterns? And these, by the way, are actual crime scene photos. So let's take a look. So this is going to be your job. The first thing you're going to do is I'm going to be sending you this part of the PowerPoint with all of the photos of the blood spatter. And the first thing you're going to do is simply circle blood spatter patterns that you see for each photo. So I'm going to have circled things that I want you to identify. And you're going to say what type of pattern it is and what would be a possible cause of that. And you're just going to go through all the photographs and make a list of that. And then we're going to talk about that on Thursday. And then I'm going to ask you to actually try to reconstruct the crime by referring back to that pattern. Okay? So let's just take a look, and that will be the second part of the assignment that will be due on Monday. So let's just take a look at this. And these are the actual crime scene photos. So we're entering the foyer, going up from the first floor to the second floor. And when the police entered the foyer, this is the first thing they saw. So this is photograph 1. What they did was they then, went backwards. They then turned the corner, right? they turned this corner and they saw this additional blood stain here. They then went up onto the second floor, and on the door and next to the door in apartment number 201, they saw this blood stain. They entered through this door here, okay? And this is just another picture of that blood stain. And then 5 and 6 is you make a turn left, and then you make a left turn to suite 203, and this is to suite 203. This is the door, and then this is opposite the door. So figure 5 is the actual entrance. This is the blood stain directly across the hall from suite 203. Now they went into the apartment, and this is the first picture of what it looks like inside the apartment. And then there's a few close-ups. This figure 8 is a close-up of the outlet over here. And then this is another picture. This is the kitchenette area over here. So that's figures 8 and 9. Okay. So what you're going to do first is, let's take a look. So I have the PowerPoint. I have 2 slides for each photo. The first photo slide is just the plain slide. And then what I'm going to do is I do this. I circle a series of things, and I want you to identify what they are. Okay, so this is a 2-part problem. So part 1 is, what type of stain would it be? So let's do that. Let's do a couple of these together, and then just to give you a sense of what I'm asking for. So for example, looking back over, thinking about it for a second, I'm going to give you a chance to think about it. Let's focus on D, C, and B. I just want you to think about that. You might need to go back to your notes for a second, but what do you think B, C, and D might be? And I want you to think, number 1, what type of stain? Is it a wipe? Is it a swipe? Is it radial spatter? And number 2 is what might have caused it. So just take a minute to think about those 3 things, and then we'll just share out on that. Okay. Just another second. Okay, I'd like to do this verbally, actually. Oh no, that's actually no. No, sorry. Let's do it written. Go ahead and type. Let's do it in order. B, C, D. First, just tell me the kind of pattern you think it is. Just say, which type of pattern is it? Don't talk about cause. Just write, like, for example, yeah, just write it down. B in order. B, C, D. What is the pattern? Go ahead, type that now. I'll give you 15 seconds to 30 seconds to type that in. Do them all in one text. So do B, just do it in order. If you say, for example, swipe, blah, blah, that means B, C, D. Yeah. Okay, just 5 more seconds. Okay, good. So I'm seeing a lot. So let's just take a look. A lot of you were saying that B is a wipe. Okay, and a lot of you were saying that B is, do I see swipes as well? I'm just trying to think. You almost all say B is a wipe. So, and what you're suggesting there is there was blood already there, and then someone was moving through the blood. Could anyone verbally tell me what made them think it was a wipe and not a swipe? I'm just very curious. Someone who said a wipe. Why do you think a wipe and not a swipe? Because most of you said wipe. Beep.
Blood is
Nolan?
thick.
Go ahead, say it. Is it because it's darker? And you think if it's darker, the blood must have been there for a while?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So it's true. The wipe often is darker than the swipe, and what made you think? But So it all depends on how bloody, if it's a swipe, it all will depend on how bloody the object is when it makes contact, right? So a very bloody object that's already starting out bloody could give a very dark wipe, a very dark swipe. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. That's interesting. And most of you said that the C was a swipe. Uh-huh. And then most of you said this was some sort of radial spatter. Okay, so now let's do verbally. Let's just do one of them. What do you think could have caused C? We'll just do C. What, give me an event that might have led to the production of the pattern for C. And go ahead and type that in. Yeah, actually type it in. Okay, good. So you're saying it could be a bloody handprint. It could be the clothes that's rubbing up against it. And then both of those would evoke. Okay, so what was happening if someone put their hand there, right? What event could have led to someone swiping their hand there? Or what event could have led to a piece of clothes wiping against it? Okay, good. Excellent. So let me show you, because I didn't put it in the thing. I'm gonna stop the share for a second. Let me just bring this up. Here it is. So here is, sorry, not here is, here, oops. Let me just show it to you, share screen. Okay, can you see that? Okay, good. So, no, that's the schedule, never mind. Sorry, I meant this, is this it? I'm sorry, give me a second. Here we go. So, crime scene, you were going to view a series of pictures from the crime scene. The first thing you're going to do is identify the stain, right? So for photo letter A, what type of stain, what could be a possible cause? If you think it might be one, if you're not sure if it's a wipe or a swipe, you can put both and say why you're not sure. And you're going to go through and do all of that here. You don't need to do 3 because 3 and 4 are the same. Again, 5 and 6 are the same. And then here. So your homework for Thursday, and we won't meet tomorrow because Wednesday you have the chapter reading is due. So this, I'm going to give you class time tomorrow to do this assignment. So that we'll meet again on Thursday. And all I want you to do is the first half of this assignment. And just fill that in. And I want you to submit it online. But I also want you to bring it with you to class because we're going to discuss it. And then once we do that, we'll then talk about the narrative. But I'd rather wait and do this first. I'd rather do it in a 2-step process. In the past, if I go too quickly to the narrative, people don't pay enough attention to going over the schedule. Yeah, so any questions? Okay, so what's gonna happen is,
Dr. Hornstein, I have a question.
yes, go ahead.
On Jupiter, it says that the chapter homework is due Thursday, the 26th, but on the schedule, it says Wednesday. When do you want it by?
I'm sorry, I do want it Wednesday. I'd like you to, the idea was finish the chapter tomorrow for tomorrow so that you can sort of use your knowledge to do this assignment for Thursday.
Okay.
So yeah. I'll change that as soon as we get off. I will change that, and I apologize. Any other question? Okay, so then I will. Yeah, go ahead.
We still see the schedule, not the assignment that you were referring to.
Oh, you didn't see the assignment?
No, not yet.
I apologize. Hold on one second. Thanks for telling me.
Wait, so Dr. Hornstein, are we not meeting tomorrow?
We're not meeting tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let me, sorry, here we go. So I apologize, here we go. I hope. Where is it? Is this it? No. This is it. Can you see that now, Max? Can you guys see this now? Crime scene reconstruction?
Yeah, I see it. Thank
Okay,
you.
so there it is. So sorry. So yeah, so you're gonna, here's a letter for each stain. You're gonna write the letter, the type of stain and the cause of the stain. And it goes down to here. And all you're gonna do for Thursday is finish that. And then for Monday or Tuesday, you're gonna finish this. But I'm gonna do it one step at a time.
You're sending
And,
this
and
via
as soon as this
email, right?
class is over, I will send you a copy of this, and I will send you the I made a small little mini PowerPoint just of the slides themselves.
Wait,
Is there
Dr.
anyone who's
Hornstein?
not able to see a PowerPoint of those slides? Most of you should be able to see that, right? Okay. Okay. Any other questions?
Wait, Dr. Hornstein, can I clarify real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Right. So part one of this crime scene reconstruction sheet, based on the PowerPoint pictures that we just went over, is due Thursday, right?
That's correct.
And
In
then,
class on Thursday.
okay, and then part two is going to be due when?
It's going to be due next week. We'll talk about that on Thursday, but it won't be due. It will be due next week, early next week.
All right. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? Okay, so could you just type in into chat room adios or goodbye or whatever, just say goodbye. And then I will see you on Thursday.
Can we hang up?
You can go now. As once you sign by, you can go. And again, as soon as this uploads, which usually takes a while, I will put it in. I will put it in the YouTube channel. Okay. Okay. I'll see you on Thursday. Is there anyone who hasn't said adios? Can I close it up? Okay. Bye.